My name is William Lynn. I'm a PhD candidate at the Pacifica Graduate Institute. Well, the PhD is for a dissertation in mythological studies with an emphasis in depth psychology. A renaissance of our attention to our cultural myths is very important. To understand myth, like Robert Frost says, it's dangerous for a man to be in this world without knowing the language of metaphor. And I believe that's absolutely true. Without realizing that myth is happening and that myth is acting on us, and that we connect words and names like will and will, whether we know it or not. There is a connection in our brain between that word, between these words, because they are the same. And where there is a connection in the brain, there's a back door, and myth plays on these back doors. We're being sold at all the time. Sales, politics, points of view are being sold to us all the time. And the way they're sold to us is with stories, with myths, with symbols, with characters, with ads. And the more we are aware of the languages and the techniques used to manipulate us, the more we see through them, and the less vulnerable our belief systems are to the agendas of others. There is no more direct language to talk about human life than myth itself. So then to say, why is myth so important to us now? And I think that brings us to the concept of amnesia. These myths extend our memory, like history, but in a different way, into the past, deep into the past. And without knowing the myths, we're forgetting our memory, which means we're forgetting who we are, and we're losing our roots. We think in myth more than we realize. One of my professors talks about one of his professors, who says that a person without a myth is a person without a home. It is a time where an obvious go-to worldview does not present itself in the same way. And I think this is really important to notice, that we are currently, as a culture, without a coherent myth and without a coherent cosmology, and we certainly don't have a consistent story. The story we're working on is perhaps the history of humanity, and we like this as a myth, as history, as the story of ourselves. And this is very powerful, but there's a lot of call for a new myth that is not just a new story, but a new epic, a story that can situate us in time and make sense of who we are. Myth is memory, and we don't really know how we feel about all our memories right now. We have a lot of conflict, and so I think there's certainly a searching and longing in our culture for something to believe in, a story, cosmology, and normally they come together.